I'm Poppay the parking app. I know how to set a trap. My coding is awful, it should be unlawful. I'm Poppay the parking app. My name's Mike Hatchard, and my life's been made hell recently by a malfunctioning parking app. And I find myself in a situation where I'm being chased by a debt collection agency for hundreds of pounds through no fault of my own and with no recourse to complain. There's a possibility that I'm facing a trial, in which case I could lose thousands of pounds. I'm taking that chance, not that I want to lose a lot of money, but because I am so outraged at the circumstances. If there is a court case, one good thing is that I do have a witness. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Louise Chatterton, and I'm 76 years old, and I've been retired for 16 years.
Now, I don't want to sound like a dodgy barrister in a sort of Hammy B movie, but could you please confirm that you were with me on the 4th of November 2023 when I attempted to park my car in Winding Street, Old Town, Hastings?
Yes, I accepted a lift from Mr. Hatchard to go down to our friend Michael Plum's wake after his funeral.
Now, the only way to park was via a parking app. Now, can you confirm that I made every attempt possible to pay legitimately via that parking app?
Yes, the thing with your mobile phone didn't connect with the mechanism of the parking bay.
And you'll remember I kept attempting to park. I kept putting all my credit card details in, and every time I went to pay for the parking, which it seemed about to accept, it refused.
It took ages, yes, multiple chances.
And eventually I went into the Isabel Blackman Centre itself and I borrowed somebody's glasses in case it was my fault.
Yes?
Well, it clearly wasn't, and you confirmed at the time that all the details that I was putting in from my credit card were completely correct, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
And by that time, of course, the 10 minutes grace that you have to park your car was gone.
Oh, heavens, 10 minutes more.
And was it the case that you made it clear to the staff of the Isabel Blackman Centre that I was having trouble parking the car?
Yes, and they didn't seem to think this was anything unusual.
So, and do you recall that after we both played at the wake, that I then I was still trying to park the car legitimately?
Yes.
Now, shall we go down and see if the app works now? Because I've tried it many times since, and it still, believe it or not, malfunctions. Isn't that extraordinary?
Well, apparently not, according to the people inside the Isabel Blackman Centre. At
the time, we didn't even know that the Isabel Blackman Centre actually owned the car park, did we?
No.
And they didn't bother to tell us that, did they?
No, they didn't.
Were you aware that the Isabel Blackman Centre is actually run by a charity that is supposed to help the aged? Age UK Hastings, I think it's called.
Yeah, I've heard of them, yes.
And don't you think it's pretty extraordinary that a parking facility that is so prejudiced against older people would be set up by a company, by a charity that professes to actually help elderly people? It
does seem quite extraordinary.
You don't drive yourself, do you?
I don't.
But if you were to drive, you don't have a smartphone, do you?
No.
So if you were to drive, it would be the case that you wouldn't be able to park at a centre that is supposed to help elderly people, even if you were quite happy to pay the parking charge of whatever it is, £1.70.
Well, yes, it completely discriminates against people who don't have mobile phones.
Okay, here we are. Now I'm going to attempt to park the car. Oops. Sorry about that. I'm going to attempt to park the car 2 months after the alleged incident took place. Now then, so I put all my details into my phone, okay? Now I'm going to pass you my phone. I just want to see how long it takes me to actually put my credit card details in. And then when I've done that, I want you to check. Okay, so I'd like you to check that I've put the details in correctly, okay? So if you could just look at that phone, okay?
Yes.
Now there's my credit card, okay?
Right.
Okay, can you just check? Thank you.
Yes.
Can you absolutely check that I've put the correct numbers in, okay?
Well, wait a minute, it's quite a long number. That's seems to be fine.
Right, okay, and I'll put the other number in on the back. Okay. Right, so I've done that. If you could just, again, it's only the 3-figure number on the back of the card.
Oh, right.
I feel like I'm a magician asking you. We never met before, have we? Okay, now let's see what happens when... Okay, well, it looks like... Now, notice, will you also please confirm that I have clicked the box that says Save Card Details, okay? Can you see it on the phone?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's brilliant. Okay, now, and what happens when we try and park the car? Oh, look at that. Look, it's done it yet again. It's not possible to park at this moment. Okay, so let's go back. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt, shall we? And let's assume that the thing, you know, all apps occasionally go wrong. I mean, this one's only gone wrong so far on about 30 occasions when I've tried to use it. It's never yet gone right. But assuming that it's just chance, let's do it again, shall we? And here we are. And look at that. Isn't that extraordinary? Okay, now what are you seeing now? You're seeing the fact that, yes, I've got to put all my credit card details in, all from the beginning.
Now, a lot of people say, oh, Hatchard, life's too short, just pay it, you know, why not? I'll tell you why I won't pay it, because I think of this as a legalised scam. I'm outraged. When you turn up at the car park, there's a notice that says you've got 10 minutes to pay legitimately. Now, nobody puts a stopwatch on, do they, when they arrive at a car park? But I had every intention of paying properly. I downloaded the app, and it didn't work, and I've described all that before. Now, I expected that it would start working. I assumed, I'm very trusting. I thought sooner or later this app will work, and I continued, and I tried different credit cards. You name it, I tried it. Now, I wondered at one point if I'd actually been misdirected to an illegal scamming site. That is how it felt to me. And when I looked up POPPAY on all the Trustpilot reviews, I saw that a lot of people have had very similar experiences to me.
Well, it's extortion.
Now, when I complained to One Parking Solutions Limited, I thought my grounds for appeal was so strong, I was sure they would just squash the whole thing. But the letter I got back said they'd looked into it, and they completely ignored the matter of the malfunctioning app, and they said that I had been provided with an opportunity to pay the £100 prior to it being escalated. Well, that's all right then, isn't it? The point was, I wasn't saying that I hadn't had the opportunity to pay £100. I never had the opportunity to pay the £3.50 or whatever it was that I would quite happily have paid. I feel very strongly that if they want to run a car park, they should make sure that their technology works. Now, the technology that they use to catch you out works brilliantly, but the technology they let you use is rubbish. And when I complained again, a chap called Samson of their complaint department said, I have had a chance to check the app for the day in question, and I can see that multiple payments were made through POPPAY at this location on the day in question. Added to that, there were a massive number of payments made using the app on the day in question across all sites. As such, I don't believe there to be an issue with the app. Well, that's great, isn't it? So other people use the app successfully, so there can't be anything wrong with it in my case. Does that sound familiar? Isn't it what happened to 3,000 sub-post office workers when they were told that nobody else has got a problem with the Horizon software, so it must be you? Well, if you're reading this, Samson, if that's not a made-up name, of One Parking Solutions Limited, there is an issue with the app. And if you've watched this video up to now and you still believe that there isn't, you are, and we've got three options. Either an idiot, or you're a liar, or you're calling me and Louise Chatterton liars. So which of those three options is it, Samson? Which is it? Or is it all three? And when I complained to Age UK Sussex, they said they were sorry to hear of my situation. They understood how I felt, but there was nothing they could do. But by way of amends, they'd like to offer me and a friend the opportunity to visit the centre and enjoy a hot drink and some of their delicious homemade cake. Isn't that nice? Free homemade cake. Oh, I love homemade cake, me. And it's completely free, except for the couple £100 that I've got to pay for the parking. Well, that's well worth it, isn't it? Yum, yum. And when I complained again, they said they were looking into it, and I was to bear with them. Well, that was 3.5 weeks ago. Nothing. And in the meantime, the debt collecting agency are threatening me with further escalation and they told me that I'd better contact them or else it could get a lot worse. So I did what they said, but the only way to contact them was by phone, and it took 25 minutes listening to a continuous loop of some dreadful music that sounded like it had been recorded in a canning factory. And at the end of it, I was given two options by the young lady, who said, you can either pay the fine. It's not a fine, it's a parking charge made to look like a fine, but never mind. You can either pay it or you can pay it in instalments. I can't tell you how horrible this experience is, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Now let's check the way these things escalate, shall we? Okay, now parking costs perhaps £1.50 an hour. Okay, if you don't manage to pay it within 10 minutes, it goes up to £100. Now that, believe it or not, is an increase of 6,660%. And if you don't pay that in a month, it nearly doubles again. Now, supposing you come to me for a piano lesson and I charge you, say, 40 quid, okay? At the end of the lesson, my card machine isn't working, right? Not a problem. I'll send you a bill. But when the bill arrives a couple of weeks later, it's gone up by 6,660%. That is a staggering £2,664. And when you say that the reason you couldn't pay was because my machine wasn't working, I tell you, sorry, you've complained too late, so now it's gone up to around £5,000. Yep, believe it or not, that's exactly the same proportional increase. My piano lesson 1 month on will cost you an unbelievable £5,000, and if you don't pay it, that amount will continue to rise and rise. And yes, I am a very good piano teacher, but I'm not that good. Well, no, I'm not. An elderly person who struggles with a smartphone could easily find their savings frittered away. And unlike me, they might be horrified at the thought of debt collectors turning up. Not that I like the thought much either, but I can probably handle it. So if you're watching this, Age UK Sussex, hope you're proud of yourself, but I won't have the cake. Not yet, thank you. One Parking Solution Limited have refused to issue me with a 10-digit verification code, so I'm not allowed to make a complaint to POPPAY, the independent board set up to manage these things. When I tried to complain to the regulatory board that is supposed to oversee all these parking companies, they said, our code of practice does not cover payment machinery or methods, so we would be unable to advise of this. And furthermore, based on the information you've supplied, I have not identified a breach of point raised in the code of practice, and therefore I am unable to investigate your complaint further. So I've been denied all opportunity to complain, so I'm going as public as I can. If you'd support me in this, I'd really appreciate it, I really would. So share the hell out of this if you can, it's ultimately in your interest. And I cannot tell you what a horrible experience it's been for me, but thank you for watching.
I'm Poppay the parking app, and I'll pull you into a trap. My coding's appalling, it's terribly galling, but I'll make your life utter crap.